Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Inga Cotton. I'm the founder and executive director of San Antonio Charter Moms, and it's enrollment season. We're featuring some of the amazing charter schools we have here in San Antonio. And today we're featuring a Generation 1 charter school. So they're one of the OGs of the charter school world in Texas. So we're talking with George Gervin Academy. And let me introduce our two guests from George Gervin Academy. So we have Tyrone Darden, and he's the director of school partnerships at George Gervin Academy. And we also have Anna Monroe, and she's the director of schools at George Gervin Academy. Thanks for joining me.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah. So, okay. So first, can y'all each explain kind of what your roles are at Gervin Academy, and kind of how did you come to be a team member there? So maybe Tyrone, can you start us off?
Well, ladies first. We'll let ladies go.
Oh, okay. Okay. Anna, tell us how you joined Gervin Academy and what your role is as director of schools.
Yeah, I'm currently the director of schools, so I oversee all of our campuses, the 3 campuses that we have here in the San Antonio area. And I work in tandem with the director of school partnerships, Mr. Tyrone Darden. So we kind of work hand in hand. How did I come to Gervin? So I came to Gervin. I was at IDEA and I came to Gervin. I saw a post and I went ahead and I moved forward. I got interviewed and I got hired, and I've been part of the team for about 2 years now.
Well, welcome
to the team.
I know.
Well, my name is Tyrone Darden. I'm the director of school partnerships, and it has been a long journey for me at George Gervin Academy. Mm-hmm. This is my 15th year here at George Gervin Academy, currently serving as the director of school partnerships. I believe that leadership placed me in that role just because of my commitment to the community, the relationships I have in the community, and then the love I have for youth. Ultimately, our goal is growth here at George Gervin Academy, and me being the one with the growth mindset, it just seems like a natural fit.
Well, that makes perfect sense. Okay, well, I want to hear more about the growth, but I also want y'all to share the story about the origins of George Gervin Academy, because you guys have some really amazing founders, like really people in our community. So, and as I mentioned earlier, so George Gervin Academy is a Generation 1 charter, which I don't see that much as I'm researching these things, but that means that they were part of the very first batch of charter schools approved in Texas back in the 1990s. So, okay, so can y'all tell us more about the founders?
Yeah, well, I guess since I'm the senior leader here, so 2 founders that most of us know very well. George Iceman Gervin, he's one of the now 75 greatest players in the world. I would say he's known for his finger roll. But one thing that I would say is this, a story that both George and Ms. Hawkins shared. When George was getting close to his retirement, him and his sister, Barbara, had a conversation. Hey, what's next? And he said, you know what? I really like working with people, but them older people, it's hard to change. So let's work with the youth. And through that, they created the George Gervin Youth Center and had a lot of different programs, workforce development, youth development. But when the opportunity came to get that education component through our Youth Bill grant, and then finally through our charter here in Texas as a public charter school, we just took off and we've been doing it ever since.
Yeah. Well, that's amazing. It's one of the oldest charter schools in Texas, one of the oldest in San Antonio. So really a legacy of leadership. And Barbara, she calls herself the baby sister, but she's gone on to have a really distinguished career herself, because she represents District 120 in the Texas House of Representatives. So and she's still a special projects coordinator at Gervin Academy, right? Yeah. So
as you said, As you said, Inga, earlier, Gervin being a first generation charter, and you're right. You really don't see that here in Texas. I believe it may be 3 of the original 20 that was initially awarded. So that's a great thing to have that longevity, to have that sustainability, and we can accredit that to our founders. George is a brand. We know nothing but goodness is associated with George. Everyone wants his autograph, his bobbleheads, and he's just a magnet for positivity and productivity. The same thing can go for Ms. Hawkins, Barbara Gervin Hawkins. Yes, we know currently she's an elected official, but she's always been the one pushing for more in our community, pushing for more for our families, and just pushing for more for our scholars. And, just starting off as a math teacher, starting off as the principal, starting off as the superintendent, and just growing George Gervin Academy to what it is today. And again, that sustainability, in a world that is so ever changing. The rules change every day. And for us to still be here, it's a wonderful thing.
It is. It is. And so as I was researching about this, I thought I knew about Gervin Academy. I was researching. It's interesting. So from the George Gervin Youth Center, right, the initial creation of the charter school was to serve high school, right? And it was to serve non-traditional students, right? Students who had experienced some kind of adversity, and maybe they were behind on credits. Maybe they'd been in the juvenile justice system in some way, right? And so it was to get those students back on track. And that's actually still part of the DNA of the George Gervin Academy, right, is to make sure. So can y'all talk more about, like, for the high school grades, like, what kind of support do you have for those to help them accelerate their learning and just make sure you're helping them overcome those obstacles so they can get to a diploma?
Yes, ma'am. So what I'm going to do is I'm a dribble the ball. I'm gonna throw an alley-oop to Miss Monroe so she can finger roll it in. And so you're right. We started off as a dropout recovery, credit recovery school. Even before we had the charter opportunity, we had our youth bill grant. And with that federal funding, we recruited those that some had given up on, and we put them in a position to where they could earn a trade and they could build just on their skills and be a person that contributed in a positive way to our community. But a lot of those young people said, you know what? I don't just want a GED. I want a high school diploma. And with that being said, the opportunity came to be a charter school. And with that, we were able to grow. Now, as we know, we've grown to be a pre-K through 12 public charter school. But like you said, Inga, we have not gotten away from our early roots. And I think that's a perfect segue for the alley-oop for Ms. Monroe to talk about our credit recovery opportunities and just the non-traditional pathways that we have in our high school and our secondary campuses.
It's just like Mr. Darden said, I think we continue to build on the legacy of what started. And so the legacy of what started was helping the youth, right, who had adversities, be able to get their GEDs and now get their diplomas. But on top of that, we also give them industry-based certification. So all of our students leave with some sort of industry-based certification, and then they get to choose a pathway. So they decide whether they want to go into the military, and we put them in connection with the military. We've actually partnered with the Sea Cadets, and we will be featured on their newsletter. I'm super excited about that. We have 2 students on that Sea Cadets, and they will be featured in that newsletter. So super excited. And then if they want to go to college, we have a partnership with St. Philip's, and we are allowing our students to go. 100% of our students who want to go to college have access to 156 different certificates on top of the associate's degrees that St. Philip's has. And then, of course, those that just want to go into the career field, we have internships for them. Definitely, we are partnering with a CDL internship. We'll be partnering with hospitality and tourism, and just giving those people the opportunity to also be out there in the world. But an individualized plan for students, I think, is what we focus on in that high school, along with all our other grade levels, but specifically in that high school, when they get into 9th grade, giving them that trajectory that they want, so that individualized plan is there for them.
And just to add, Inga, because that was a lot of great information that Ms. Monroe gave, I think an important word that we want to continue to hear and continue to say is partnerships. Mm-hmm. And so one thing that I can accredit to both George and Mrs. Hawkins and our board members over the years and our leaders over the years on the executive leadership level, we've always identified that we can't do it ourselves. We know our community, most communities have a lot of needs, mm-hmm. and one agency cannot be everything to everyone. So we really pride ourselves on the partnerships that we've had, not just now, but over the years, and we continue to build on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's super important. Yeah. I'm always so impressed whenever I see, Barbara Gervin Hawkins in her element, and just like she knows everybody, and it just has such deep roots in the community, and it's a mutual respect that people have for her and for George Gervin Academy, and that y'all and your team have for the partners that you have in the community. So that's on my list of questions to ask, is like the pre-K and the Head Start programs and stuff like that. I definitely want to get to that, but I'm kind of working my way down from the origins and the high school, the credit recovery, the non-traditional students. And, Anna, you talked about just so many different options. I mean, it's, I can't even recap it all. Everything from college to, the military, right, with Sea Cadets, and onto like just how to get a job. But kids need a sense of purpose. They need, like, what am I working towards, right? Mm-hmm. And then that then they can find in themselves a motivation to get there, instead of just wondering like, why am I doing this? What is this going to get me? So I'm going to ask y'all, okay, moving from high school down to the younger grades, y'all offer, well, you support the students who are emergent bilingual, right? The ones who speak Spanish at home, but also if there's kids who speak English at home, but want to become bilingual, then there's dual language immersion programs. So can y'all talk more about that? Like what grade range offered, and like, for families who have like very young children, that may be a lot of jargon. So I just wondering, can y'all kind of break down like what are the benefits of having students who become like bilingual, bicultural?
Well, we know, right, that students who are bilingual already have a winning streak as they go into the field, whatever it may be, research, careers, military. Having a bilingual background is super important, especially in the San Antonio area. So what makes Gervin unique is that we have a dual language immersion program. So that's kind of what you were talking about. So we have our emergent bilingual students who come from other states, other countries, who are learning English, but we also have non-speaking Spanish speakers who go in there to learn Spanish as well. Super proud. We have her featured on our Facebook. So if you go to our Facebook, you'll be able to see her. She's a third grader now, and speaks full-blown Spanish and does not have Spanish-speaking parents. So it's beautiful to see the way that it grows and it blooms. It's offered in pre-K 3 all the way to 5th grade. We start with what we call our 90-10 model, so 90% Spanish, 10% English. We move over to an 80-20, then a 70-30, and by the time they get to 5th grade, we're at a 50-50 model. The goal and vision, right, is that they transition into our 6th grade classrooms 100% bilingual at that time.
And just to add to that, with the behind the back pass from my counterpart here, but as a parent of children that have been in this program, I can speak personally how dynamic it is. I want to highlight our coordinator, Mr. Bolivar Pila. He's done an extraordinary job to the point to where my children, my son, Ty Darden, who obviously I'm not a Spanish speaker, he's won spelling bees. He's done all these wonderful things in Spanish that I can only dream about. And the Gervin model has been the contributor to that, and I'm appreciative as a parent.
Well, that's a really powerful testimony, and I know there's a lot of families looking for dual language immersion, and sometimes schools are kind of morph their programs, or they don't necessarily have the balance of the immersion bilingual students plus the students who are wanting to pick up the Spanish. But I think when you can find that balance, it's just a great. It benefits both students or both types of students, and it builds kind of mutual understanding. I feel like that's part of what San Antonio is all about. It's part of what I love about San Antonio. As I moved here as a teenager, but like people wanting to build partnerships, wanting to build alliances and teamwork, and that it's built into the culture of San Antonio. It makes us all stronger. Mm-hmm. Okay, so Anna, you mentioned that the dual language immersion way as young as pre-K 3. So I guess let me throw this question out to both of y'all. So I'm throwing the passes; they're coming fast. So it also affects partnerships. Like I noticed I kind of found out about this through the back door. I was talking with the family service folks, and they're like, "Oh yeah, we have a partnership with Gervin Academy," and then they were explaining so there's multiple sites, and there's more on the website. I'm not going to describe all the sites, but I just thought what a great way to increase access to pre-K 3 and pre-K 4, especially for all those families who qualify, but they need a location, that's where they live. So can y'all talk more about why do you have so many partnerships to provide pre-K 3, pre-K 4? What are the benefits of that? And some of them are agencies, but some of them are kind of entrepreneurial, like childcare centers that y'all can work with, right? Like Books and Bibs and Miss Bailey's.
So I think it's two things. It's a lot of things, but two things I want to highlight. Number one, the need. I believe we shouldn't just be out here doing things to do it. As a public entity, as a public servant, it should be based on the need. And as we know, there is a need for early childhood development. And there's not really, we haven't maxed out those opportunities. But with that being said, we can't do it all. And the way we leverage space, the way we leverage opportunities is to partner. And those partners come in different forms, different shapes, and different sizes. And so when you look at our CDCs, our Child Development Center partners, that's a different niche than maybe our Head Start partners. And then even on our high quality pre-K side here on our campus with George Gervin Academy, that's a different lane that we're going in. But ultimately, the young people, the scholars that are 3 and 4, all they want to do is learn. All they want to do is grow. And then I think the second piece is the opportunity. So when you partner, you create more of an opportunity. What we've learned here at George Gervin Academy, we can't be everything to everyone, but we can assist someone else building their capacity. So when you look at our CDCs, it's really about building capacity. You have a daycare who has a lane, and maybe they want to grow, and maybe they want to have a higher curriculum they want to introduce to their families. Well, Gervin, guess what? We have that for them. So in that partnership, we're able to leverage that, and we're able to, again, build capacity. And again, that one thing is grow through partnerships.
And that gives us a chance to highlight our Carmelite Center. So our Carmelite Center specifically focuses on pre-K 3, pre-K 4, and of course it also has a partner in there with FSA, with just, the little bitties. But that's why the Carmelite Center was built, and well, not built, but we purchased and established in order to have that early childhood on the east side as well, and to continue to build partnerships, but not only build the partnerships, but offer you a space. So out there in the community, if anybody's wanting a CDC to partner with us and maybe doesn't have a space, that's the perfect opportunity to reach out to George Gervin, because we do have some leasing space available along with our licensed classrooms that are running in that building.
So why do it, Inga? Because there's a need.
Yeah.
And as long as there's a need, we're going to continue doing it. But the other part is we can't be everything for everybody. So why not share our knowledge, share our experience with others, and help them build capacity so they can also contribute to shrinking down those gaps.
Yeah, well, it's such an important outlook, but in the education world and the nonprofit world, not everybody has that abundance mindset. Sometimes there's a scarcity mindset, but having that abundance mindset is so important because you can grow through partnerships, we can learn from each other and elevate the quality. Touching on the Carmelite Center, when I saw in the news that Gervin Academy, because y'all are great about posting stuff on social media. I encourage everybody, find those social media accounts. We've got links in the blog post on SDChartermoms.com or just search. But I saw the post about opening Carmelite Center, and I know where that is because I had walked on the MLK March, and it's right there on Commerce. I remember getting some bottled water from some folks there. So I mean, it is in the heart of the East Side. It's in an area where there's a real need, and where early childhood education can make a real difference in the lives of children, so that then they're more prepared for kindergarten, and and it keeps building, so that, right, because that's the original vision that the Iceman that George Gervin and his sister Barbara had was, we can make the most difference by helping the youth. That's when you can make the biggest difference in their lives, and they're eager to learn. They just need good partners and good leaders to look up to. So we talked about high school, we talked about the dual language immersion, we talked about pre-K 3, pre-K 4. Are there any other sort of academic things that you want to touch on? Because I also want to ask about things like sports and athletics and the extracurriculars.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes when we think of charters, we also think of high quality instructional materials. That's usually when people are looking for a charter outlet as a parent, they're looking for the charters that have high quality instructional materials. So we are proud to say at Gervin that all of our materials that we put in front of our children from pre-K 3 all the way to high school is a high quality instructional material that's been approved by the state. Super excited. So we do things like Eureka. We do things like DI, direct instruction, which is the science of teaching reading. We incorporate a little bit of Amplify. So it's just bringing all of that high quality instructional material academically that I'd like to highlight, so that, because I know that when parents are looking for schools, that is one of their biggest concerns, right? What material is being put in front of my kiddos?
And I think one other thing that is very important to share, number one, for those who aren't aware, public charter schools are public schools, but it gives our community an opportunity to choose what level of education, or if there's a niche that you want to go into, you have the option to go there. With that being said, George Gervin Academy, in my mind, is unique in so many ways. But one of the things that I want to share A lot of times campuses are focused on and districts are focused on one thing, whether it be enrichment, whether it be intervention, whether it be whatever it is in the middle. What I can say here at George Gervin Academy is we are multi-tiered. We'll never overlook our kiddos, our scholars that need that extra support. But we also make sure we have programming for those higher level scholars that are operating at that honors level, that GT level, because ultimately we don't want to leave anybody behind. When you're a school of choice, that's just it. You have to be diverse, you have to be able to differentiate, and you have to be all inclusive. And being a part of George Gervin Academy for the last 15 years, I can honestly say that is something that we've thrived on.
And I think two of the things that we want to highlight for the month of February is one, we'll have the Omegas will be hosting right their STEM conference on the 24th. So they'll be building a catapult and they'll be launching it through our parking lot. So we're super excited about that. And in March, we are actually going to be with Velocity, Texas. So we'll be taking a group of 8th graders out there to hit on the science, the technology, the engineering, all of that, mathematics field, to give them that opportunity that Mr. Darden is talking about of enrichment and acceleration along with, intervention.
Yeah, oh, that's really exciting. And Velocity, Texas, that's located on the east side, right? It's a little bit south of where and I'm thinking about the campus on Sunbelt, but but it's great.
Yeah.
Another partnership.
Right. Yeah, Tyrone, you've been busy. Anna, the different curriculum things you touch on, those are things that come up in the Charter Moms discussion group, right? Families, they want to know, are you using science and reading? Are these high quality materials that will work for all kinds of students, right? Whether they're potentially dyslexic or they're a more typical learner, we want to be proficient readers, right? And Eureka Math, these are proven things that work, and it makes a really big difference for kids. It gives every kid the best chance. And Tyrone, earlier you mentioned about the partnership with St. Philip's, that gives kids access to the courses that college students are taking, right? And so that just it blows the ceiling off of what potentially students could be learning. So, but yeah, you're preaching to the choir for me. I'm a huge advocate for school choice, and I think every I love the fact that there's so many unique schools in San Antonio, including OG, Generation 1 schools, but kept innovating, and that's really important too. It's the needs of the students keep changing, the opportunities, the partnerships that you can create changing, and so you have to keep it relevant to what the students and the families are looking for now. Okay, well, we've covered a lot about academics, which is great, but I noticed I've seen some great pictures of the basketball team, right? So of course you have to have basketball at Gervin Academy because it's the school founded by the Iceman. So but there's multiple sports that students can play, right? Like flag football and volleyball and soccer. And then there's other than sports too, there's activities they can get involved in.
Yeah, so in our lower grade, so we actually have a lower grade league as well. They actually made it to playoffs. So our 4th and 5th graders played with 6th graders and made it all the way to playoffs. And then of course we have our high school team, our boys team that made it all the way to playoffs. So super excited about that. But on top of basketball, we have flag football, we have soccer, we have track, we have volleyball. Am I missing any, Darden?
Track, volleyball, soccer, flag football. And basketball.
And basketball, yeah. So those are some of the sports we have. And then we're actually partnering with an AAU league. So our little ones, our 4th and 5th graders, will have year-round basketball. So that's also another big thing that is new to Gervin. And our soccer team is also for our 4th, 5th, all the way up to our middle schoolers. So we try to provide sports in both areas.
And so just to add to that, and so that 4th grade and up, you don't find that in a traditional public space. And so, again, with a school of choice, you also choose to, expose your scholars to those team building opportunities, just those collaborations in those team sports at a very early age at no cost whatsoever. But the other piece, and this is the biggest piece, and Gervin is unique to this, we've also incorporated intramural sports from pre-K all the way to second grade. Now, I do admit COVID did slow us down, but we're in talks for another partnership with some of our partners here in the community to get that started again. And so something similar to like a CYO league or some of those other community leagues that we have, we're looking to engage our pre-K3 all the way to our second grade scholars and our families on a league for our 2024-2025 school year. So be looking for that.
That's great. It's so healthy for kids to be active, and then also like the character development they can get from sports, like teamwork and good sportsmanship. Learning how to lose sometimes, but also and then being gracious as a winner. Like there's so much that kids can learn from sports.
Agreed.
Yeah. Are there any like sort of non-sports extra? You mentioned like STEM enrichment, like Catapult and like visiting Velocity, Texas. Like are there sort of
we also just picked up a grant for the following year with our cafeteria. So they're looking at rising beds and actually vegetable growing. So that's something coming in the 24-25 school year. We actually working with diets. So like right now, she's creating diets for our athletes, and we're actually partnering with our high school kiddos to see if they're, interested maybe in, dietitian work, right? And so she's willing to work with them on that. So those are some of the up and coming things coming in the 24-25 school year as well that are maybe non-traditional. We're also looking at opening up possibly, a UIL league, trying to get our kids involved in, the mathematics, the old, UIL leagues, and being able to get into those. So those are some of the things that are up and coming as well at Gervin.
I think the other thing also to note, as a first generation charter, before that, we are the George Gervin Youth Center, and we are a nonprofit organization built for service. And so we're always looking for opportunities to serve the community. In the past, and we're also going to keep entertaining these opportunities. Out of school time is big. So, after school, on the weekends, spring break, during the summer, we know not just for our charter families, but for families in general, there's always something that we could be doing during that time, because we do not want our scholars to have idle minds, but we also don't want to promote a slide, any kind of academic slides. And so we're looking to incorporate anything during the out of school time hours is going to promote growth, is going to promote academic growth and social growth within our scholars and our families. So once we have those opportunities coming, we'll definitely be announcing them to the community, and you definitely know for charter moms.
Yeah. Well, that's wonderful. It's baked in, right? Because the youth center, it's meant to keeping kids safe, keeping them busy, being a positive influence, being that kind of neighborhood hub, that brings all these good things together to serve the youth. Well, okay, so we talked about the stuff other than academics, but can y'all share each of you some stories where you felt like Tyrone, you talked about your own child, becoming proficient in Spanish, and but are there story kind of that you can share that like our listeners would get a sense from it about like what the culture is like at George Gervin Academy?
I got a million stories. I've been here for a very long time. Just recently, again, partnerships, and so we have a partnership with 100 Black men in their youth build program. And so a lot of times those young people, they've given up. And so to have a partner like Youth Build that's out there recruiting, providing that case management, it's great. But to say we are partnered with the Texas Education Agency, and as a public charter, we can help your scholar earn a high school diploma that is not only recognized in the state of Texas, but all over the country. And you're eligible for free college tuition. Because of that is a beautiful thing. And so one of the major things that I think myself and even I know Ms. Monroe can share, when we were able to partner with 100 Black Men with the Youth Build program and get those young people across the finish line, just to have their families at the graduation to celebrate with them. It was very phenomenal, because a lot of those young people, those families had given up and they had thought they would never have those opportunities. And so those partnerships, again, they're glaring their face back, and it's a beautiful thing.
And I think, I've only been here a short time, but the story always resonates with me, even though I never got to see him as a student, is Elijah. So Elijah Payne is at UT Austin.
He's at
where's he at?
Houston Tillerson.
I'm sorry. He's at Houston Tillerson.
In Austin.
In Austin. I knew he was in Austin. But it's just that consistent partnership. So when he's down in town, the first thing he does is come to Gervin and see how he can serve Gervin. And to me, right, that's a beautiful thing when you go back, when right, I'm on break, but I still want to go back. He comes and sees Mr. Darden all the time. He'll reach out to me like, hey, I'm going into this, mentorship. We actually got kids to get in a van for him last year, drive to Austin because he was on the dean's list and his family couldn't go. So we took his cousins and we took a couple of kids from Gervin and we represented and we cheered him on because he was on 3 different lists as an A honor roll student. And so to me, right, it's a beautiful story to see, not only when I graduate, but I want to come back and I want to serve,
And to add to that, there's 2 scholarships that our leadership has kind of added to our legacy. And with that being said, one of them is our legacy scholarship. We literally have scholars that started with us from pre-K all the way to 12th grade. And so Elijah was one of those scholars, and he was able to get a scholarship because he stuck with us. He stuck with Gervin through our growing pains. From his pre-K, he might even been a part of a partner back then, Head Start, all the way to graduating. And I believe he was a valedictorian. So graduating and being a valedictorian. And then we also have our Ruth Jones McClendon Scholarship. And that's for scholars who start with us in 6th grade and go through that secondary pathway all the way to 12th grade. And so for those who don't know, Ruth Jones McClendon was a state representative for years, over 20 years, 19 plus years. And then Ms. Barbara Gervin Hawkins actually came in after her and picked up that torch and doing a wonderful job. So it's a wonderful thing to be able to have a scholarship in her name. But that legacy scholarship and an RGM scholarship, those are 2 things that we pride ourselves on, and our families love it.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And just like celebrating those things, talking about those things, it puts it in kids' minds that that's achievable for them. And then I love the story about the alumna coming back and to see the students, and then the students coming up to cheer for him being on D's list. Like what a great example of just like connection and teamwork and partnership. Like the connection doesn't end just because he's graduated. Yeah. Yeah. Wow. What a great way to celebrate learning, and set an example for the students who are still kind of working their way up and show what they can achieve. Going to a historically Black college university in Austin is a great thing to aspire to.
And the fact that he comes back, right, I think is important that he has that connection and that kids can see, right, that there's a future, especially for those that are looking beyond.
Yeah. Wow. So those are some great stories. So I want to make sure that I hope I've gotten families interested, start listening to this, thinking like, hey, I should look into Gervin Academy. There's a lot of features there that maybe they didn't know about before. But I want them to know like how to contact you all and what are the best next steps. So I know there's a lot of helpful information on the website. So can y'all talk about what's on the website and what other ways that folks can get in touch?
Yeah, so they can go to gervin-school.org. That'll pop up as soon as they get there. They'll get a pop-up that says, "Are you interested?" If they fill that out, then somebody from the team will be able to do a campus tour with them. They'll contact them, and on the campus tour, they'll usually see one of us, either me or Mr. Darden. So they'll usually see one of us to make that connection and kind of just see. We are accepting applications already for the 24-25 school year. We're still accepting applications for this school year as well. So we can do that. You can always call 210-568-8800. Whether you're looking for any of those campuses, that'll be our main switch line that'll send you to any of the 3 campuses. Reminder, we have one off of Blanco Road. So if you're in the Blanco Road area, we do have a pre-K through 5 off of Blanco Road. And then our main campus will have our pre-K through 12th grade. And then we have our Carmelite site out on the east side that's servicing our pre-K through 2nd.
Mm-hmm. Most familiar with the main campus because it's just off Austin Highway, and I'm in that part of town all the time. But I've driven by the Blanco. as well.
We're on Facebook. We're on Instagram, and I think we're on TikTok.
I know you're on LinkedIn too. I checked that.
We are. Yes, we are on LinkedIn too.
Yeah, so that's great. No, I appreciate the recap, like the 3 different campuses, and then there's multiple partnership sites for the pre-K3, pre-K4. But yeah, the website, gervinschool.org, that's got the inquiry form. It's got there's a tab for enrollment, how to enroll. And I want to echo what Anna said about school tours. School tours are great. It gives you can picture like, hey, can I see my child here? You get your questions answered. You just get that comfort level before your student actually starts. And there's not any because enrollment is ongoing, there's not I'm used to having to shout out the deadlines and stuff, but really it's y'all have open seats in some grades currently, so families just come and ask and take the tour and find out where that availability is, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Well, great. Okay. Well, I've learned so much from this. I thought I knew. I've learned so much more. I just have to say the word partnerships one more time, right? Because that's our that's our theme, right?
Partnerships is definitely our theme. Before we leave, Inga, one thing I want to leave you, our Charter Mom audience, and just anybody that's viewing this and listening to this. Why choose George Gervin Academy? And I can't say it any plainer than this. I believe in the Bexar County area, the greater San Antonio area, we have the market corner in success management. By that, I mean this. If you give us an opportunity, give us a chance with your young person, no matter where they start. They could be a GT level scholar. They could be a scholar that's trying to get it together. But we have the people working here at Gervin that is dedicated to one thing, the success of your scholar. And we're going to do whatever we can to ensure the success of your scholar. And in addition to that, we don't stop once they graduate. As you can see with Elijah Payne, that success management continues as long as the scholar and the family wants to continue the relationship. And I believe that's what makes us special at Gervin, at George Gervin Academy. And I think that's why we've been here for so long. We don't do a lot of marketing. We don't do a lot of advertising. It's word of mouth, and people share those stories.
Yeah. Well, I know y'all are so busy taking care of the kids. I appreciate you taking the time, visit with me and, so we can, help people discover George Gervin Academy. But yes, it's an amazing legacy, from Generation 1 charter, and even back in the 1980s, with the Youth Build and the Youth Center, what a legacy. And, so much loyalty to George Gervin Academy among the families and the alumni. So that's really a testament to, success, caring about success and making sure that every scholar has a chance to do their best. Okay, well, great. It's been great talking with you all. And you guys are always great at School Discovery Days. You bring lots of spirit and help make it a great event. So I look forward to teaming up with you guys again for that. And keep up the good work. So I'll pass it back to you guys. Yeah.
Thank you for having us, Inga.
Thank you so much for having us. We truly appreciate it.
Yeah, and like we talked about, go Charter Dads.
That's right. Charter Dads are welcome too. We're great. Okay, well, thanks, y'all. Have a great evening.
You too.